Friends, family, fans of Back Nine Bets, welcome back to another episode. Not just another episode, the 50th episode of Back Nine Bets, titled Episode 50. Yeah, you guessed it. Episode 50, Back Nine Bets. It's been a hell of a ride, folks. I tell you what. So, before we get to that, we got ourselves some whiskey, the usual fuel for the Back Nine Bets bandwagon fans. So cheers to Back Nine Bets doing 50 wonderful episodes. This is the 50th. Let's have a good one. A little sentimental toast to myself and the Back Nine fans, that friends and family that have just been so instrumental through all of this stuff. So thank you so much for being a part of the journey. We are not done yet. Obviously not. Episode 50. It's quite a few. I don't really do too many things in a row in my life. And I've put together 50 podcasts, which is quite impressive. A little bit more. We had some Back Nine Bets with guests, but this is the 50th of this type. So welcome to the show. It's been a good one. 50 freaking episodes, folks. Can you believe it? With that being said, 50 is the code that you can use for rotoballer.com. In the description below, or I haven't even pinned it to my Twitter, but let's actually go and do that real quick because I want to be honest and upfront with you guys. We got some Twitter stuff going on. I have it's pinned. Perfect. Look at me. So on my Twitter profile, there's a link that you must use, or in the description of the YouTube channel, if you want to use the code 50 for $50 off of our platinum annual membership, go and use that until Thursday it ends. It ends at midnight on Thursday. The carriage turns into a pumpkin. So go use code 50. Get yourself $50 off the subscription there. And you can get everything that we do at Rotoballer. All the tools, all the, like me, Spencer, Joe, everybody's stuff. I did the math. It's $12.50 a month, folks, for the full year. So go do it. It's a great idea. Code 50 in honor of the 50th episode. That's what's cooking over at rotoballer.com. Please help me help you. Support your boy. Go out there and get yourself a premium subscription. It's super affordable, especially if you're using the $50 off there. I don't know why you wouldn't want to do that. So we've got the Genesis Invitational. Tiger Woods tournament. He's invited all the guys. It's an elevated, designated event. We've got folks from all over the world's very best that still remain on the PGA Tour, coming to LA to try and take the throne of Joaquin Niemann, who is no longer the defending champion. He's sitting somewhere in the Middle East doing his thing with millions and millions of dollars in his pocket. So props to Joaquin. So the defending champion, for the sake of this podcast, is going to be Max Homa. He won it 2 years ago. We'll see. Maybe he's on our outright card. Maybe he isn't. We'll see what happens. So Max Homa, he's the defending champ. Scotty Scheffler was the defending champ last week. Took it down again. The guy is a gangster. Anytime he's in contention, it goes down. When his approach play spikes, so does his putting. It's insane. Anytime he plays well, this guy's got a closure rate like, oh boy. He closes out, boy. He closes out. He's Tom Brady-esque. Patriots, dynasty-esque. 5 wins in the last year now. And he sandwiched it with the 2 Waste Management Phoenix Opens. Incredible stuff from Scotty. Incredible stuff. We had him definitely in some DFS lineups. Unfortunately, we had like Tom Hoagie and a whole bunch of other dudes that absolutely sucked it up. Patrick Cantley. I had a Patrick Cantley, Scotty Scheffler lineup that he was the only guy that missed the freaking cut. So yeah, shout out to Patrick Cantley, who's playing atrocious golf right now. Anyway, so what I've done is I've eliminated the whole stats overview, big old rigmarole thing that we usually go through because I do that on yesterday's podcast. So that's what's cooking over there. If you want to check out I'll just do it real quick. Here we go. This is what's going on here. We've got the correlations. We're looking for guys that have distance off the tee. We're looking for guys that are incredible around the greens, and we're looking for good putters. So good short game and bombers is going to be the general theme behind people's picks and DFS choices this week. Accuracy, -10. less than tour average. So accuracy here, the fairways are super small. The greens are impossible to hit. There's an 8% reduction rate in green and regulation percentages here. So that's what's going on. That's why around the green play is so critical. All these guys that have been doing well at this venue are good around the greens. And then if you are wanting to look at some proximity numbers, about 48% of shots come from 150 to 200, which is about 63% of shots 62% of shots from 125 to 200. So if you're looking for 3 key proximity buckets, it's 125 through 200. If you're looking for 2 that basically are half the shots, it's 150 to 200. Those are the key ranges we're looking for this week. All the other ranges are like Joachim Neiman, irrelevant today. That's what's cooking there. Don't have to do the model settings. I showed that on the show yesterday with David Bolesky, who was an awesome guest, sharing how he goes about betting his outrights with me, breaking down the previous week and reviewing this week. So whatever. It was a good show. Go check it out for some good outright betting tips that he shared with us and just his general process about how he goes about doing his thing on a weekly basis. Number 1 in the model, and by quite some margin. And the rest of his game, I tell you, if you take a look at Rory McIlroy's game, there's not a lot that you can alter. Like when I take my emphasis on X, which is 20% extra to putting, 20% extra to driving distance, 20% extra to around the green play. Anytime you do that with Rory McIlroy, he was number 1 across all relevant metrics this week. So this 2.28 never got anywhere near the jeopardy of any other person overtaking him. It might have to do with the fact that we're looking at a lot of distance this week. I've ramped distance up to almost 10% in the model because that is obviously the most important element of off the tee play here. The total off the tee stuff is only about 15% total. So that's what's cooking, folks. We're looking for bombers, guys that have good proximity from 150 to 200, presumably also out of the rough. We're looking for guys that are incredible around the greens and can make a whole bunch of par saves, aka bogey avoidance. There's only 3 par 5s on this course. That's what's cooking. Rory McIlroy, looking like he's going to be the highest owned golfer on the slate because he's sitting at 28%, $600 cheaper than Jon Rahm. He's got great course history at this venue. He's 7th in course history over this last while. I think 3 out of his last 4 starts have been very good finishes, and then he missed the cut, I think, 2 years ago. So we'll see what he can get up to. Rory's ball striking in the last 24 events, last 24 rounds, it's second. His approach play is not too good, but off the tee, he has just been incredible. Absolutely incredible. He leads the field off the tee recently, and I bet you he's 4th in the field off the tee in general. His 2022 stats weren't that fantastic. So he's definitely moving in the right direction with his driver to a point where it's borderline unfair for everyone else playing with him, even for Jon Rahm. But Jon Rahm's right up there with him. So yes, that's what's cooking. His weighted proximity numbers are fantastic. He's sharp around the greens, tidy around the greens for sure. Out of the rough, he's the best because we want to also emphasize around the green play, yes, but it's going to be completely different to last week when we have all these collection areas and tight lies and like desert lies, particularly the tight lies. We don't want any fringe involved this week. This course's defense is rough around the greens. You want to be good out of the rough around the greens in order to succeed here around the greens. Drink for every time I said around the greens there. Holy cow. Rory is pretty good out of the rough. He's 14th in proximity numbers from chipping and stuff out of the rough. He's putting in general's 15th, and then he's not too. The power putting is his biggest issue. He's 60th when it comes to. This is 5 to 15 feet in general on all surfaces, and then he's 46th over his last 50 rounds on power from inside 15 feet. Obviously, the par 5 scoring and stuff for Rory is all fantastic. Everything we know there. I was eyeing him out at 10 to 1. I'm not sure I could quite get there. I really fancied Max. He's playing such good golf. He had a bit of a letdown last week. So did Rory. That's okay. So we'll get there eventually and talk about those guys. But Rory's, he's going to be a very popular DFS play. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think a great pivot would probably be Xander. I know he's not as sexy and as flashy as Rory, but if you take a look at everything else, he's $600 cheaper, which is basically the reason people are going to Rory over Rahm. And he's got basically the same course history. If you take out an aggregated approach for their strokes gained at this venue over the last 4 years, his recent play has been incredible. Last 24 rounds, he's fifth in the field. The ball striking, the off the tee is sensational. The around the green play, a little bit of a sketchy situation for Xander, 34th. The weighted proximity numbers are fantastic. But the only issue with Xander is he's 85th in proximity out of the rough when chipping, which is a bit of a concern. But he's still shown enough touch around the greens to have a top 10 ranking here for history, which is exactly what you're looking for. The guys out here making cuts on a regular basis, top 40s at 75% of the time. And then whenever he does the top 40, it looks like it's a top 20 for Xander. So anytime he's inside the top 20 or the top 40, it's a top 20. So this guy, when he plays well, his upside is solid, not nearly as good as top 10 rate as Rory, which, whatever, but it's still pretty good. So lots to like from Xander's perspective. I love him as a pivot. You're going to save yourself another 10% ownership, $600. Sign me up for that little pivot there. Also, feel free to play a little bit of Rory, Scotty Scheffler's in second. We never really mentioned him in the model yet. He's also sensational stuff. The ball striking has been impeccable. Holy cow, Scotty Scheffler, man. He made 2 bogeys the whole of last week. One of them was on a par 5. The guy, when he gets it rolling, golf is just so simple. He doesn't make bogeys. It's fantastic. So Scotty Scheffler's out here just doing his thing, being one of the best ball strikers in the world. Oh, and look at you. Rory's also the number 1 scorer on medium golf courses. That's scores where the top 5 guys average between -10 and -15. And that's what we see here a lot. So Rory at this kind of a golf course where its scores are like this, he does well. So that's what's cooking with Rory and Xander. Scotty also very nice. 6th when it comes to medium golf courses. Weighted proximities, 12th. Out of the rough. Out of the rough. If you're going to play, oh boy, what do we do? Do we play Scotty or do we play Rory? Because around the greens, Scotty is very, very good, man. And we know this. We know that's what he's good at. And the putter has been his biggest issue lately. We saw what it did last week. It was hot to trot for Scotty Scheffler. He's also the bogey avoidance rate for him is 12th in the field, which is incredible. I can't believe it's actually 12th. It doesn't make too much sense because he only made 2 bogeys the whole of last week, which is insane. So yeah, if you're looking for 2, I can't tell you, man. I really fancy Xander here at $9,900. Nice little salary saver, good ownership leverage, the whole shebang. He's third in the model. Love just everything about his game is so consistent. Outside of his putting inside of 5 feet, outside of his putting inside 5 feet, he's 105th. But it's the same with Scotty. He's also had a bit of a rough go, but that happens once or twice. If you miss like 1 or 2 putts in the tournament, it can skew your stats so much because that's like a 98, 99% make rate from that range. So don't really pay too much attention to those initial names, Cameron Young. Then you can really make a big deal out of that. So we'll talk about Cam Young here in a little bit and see what's cooking. But so yes, that's what's cooking. I'm kind of a little out of my whack here. We kind of building our steam up into the pod. But Xander, love his game overall. Everything about it's fantastic. JT, his course history is actually 13th in this at this golf course, which isn't the best. It's an average rating. You'd imagine that his around the green play recently and in general is going to be one of the things that really, really helps him play well here. But Justin Thomas, man, I played him as an outright here last year, and I watched him play, and I was heavily invested in him, and he just didn't win. He wins tournaments from behind. There's certain people that do that, and there's certain people that, like Scotty, once he's in the lead, it's tough for you to catch him because he just closes out. JT is not that way. He has a blow-up round at some point during an event. It's always almost inevitable. And when Justin Thomas is not in contention, he plays his best golf. So when he's out of contention, throw him in some DFS lineups because he's going to charge up the leaderboard like he did last week. I just don't see him being a guy I want to go to at like 12-1 or 18-1, whatever the number was. I just don't think he's a winner. I know he's won the PGA Championship, but he won that from like 9 shots back. When the pressure was off, he made everything under the sun. And then pretty much sealed the deal in the playoff against Willie Z. So, can't say that Willie Z is a perennial winner either. So it's like it was him against Willie Z, and Mito pretty much had to hit it in the river in order for JT to even make the playoff. So that's what's cooking with Justin Thomas. I'm out on him at 10-1, quarter 100% ownership, aka 25%. I am out. Jon Rahm is a peculiar case because he's got great course history here too. But if you remember, last year he had that 1 or 2 rounds where he barely made the cut. And then I think he managed to finish inside the top 20 after making the cut on the number. I think he had to like birdie the final hole or something. It was a crazy performance from him in a weird way. He's putting these power greens. It's a really interesting situation. And we've seen that the winners haven't come from these top odds guys. Adam Scott has been the only person in the last 3 years that was 35-1. And then we had 60-1 and 80-1. So these power greens can really introduce, these greens are tricky. They're really, really tricky. And a certain golfer, I mean, Jon Rahm's always going to be in the mix, especially with how he strikes it. The ball striking, fantastic. I mean, look at his putting. He leads the field in short game. Jon Rahm, one of the best drivers of the golf ball, 4th in the field recently. And if you take a look at his overall driving, it's 1st. Then you add this recent short game that he's just on fuego about. You got yourself a guy that's been doing the stuff that he's been doing. I think he's only finished outside the top 10 twice in the last 12 events or something ridiculous like that. I mean, look at this stuff from him here. So it's really, really impressive golf that Jon Rahm's getting up to. And now if you're looking at his top 40, top 10% finish rates, these are for cut events. So he's had a few events that he's finished inside the top 10 that weren't cut, so they're not going to make their way in here. But I mean, why would you? I mean, Jon Rahm at 11-1 again. We're going to go back to that argument of, are you even interested in playing a guy that's going to really diminish your salary that much? I know Xander doesn't necessarily make as much sense as Jon Rahm does. And I know the model's not necessarily a big fan of Jon Rahm. I think his weighted proximity numbers are a bit of a problem. And he's overall, like, he hasn't always been the best short game guy. If you take a look at all these stats over here for Jon Rahm, around the green, he's 81st in general. Like, he had a period in time where he was really bad around the greens. Now he's the best in the field over the last 24 rounds, which is an incredible turnaround. And I don't know what to make of that now. Like, is it going to stop at some point? I mean, he's been boxing putts from all over the place lately. Everything about his game has been scintillating. It's just insane. So I don't know. I can't really trust a guy that's been doing all of that with his short game. But yes, I mean, his approach play has also been great. I mean, everything about his game has been great. But if he has an off day putting, which is very possible on these greens, like we just discussed, 25% of the field is not going to get their top 10. And this course is very volatile, man. There's not a lot of danger, but there's a lot of dilemmas out there, and you can get yourself into a pickle quite quickly. So 25% Jon Rahm, interesting. You know, I don't know. I think I went with Rahm last week over Rory. That seemed to work out well. Maybe Rory is the go-to here this week. I think you get the $600 salary savings. They're probably going to come in pretty close to ownership-wise. And then Xander. I'll be playing a lot of Xander this week, I think, for sure, especially if he's going to be sitting sub 20% ownership. Sign me up. Then we'll play some Tony Finau. So, yeah, the last 2 times we bet on Tony Finau to win a tournament, he's lost strokes putting. So, yes, that's awesome. The guy always continues to strike the ball fantastically. He hasn't really done anything wrong with the putter in recent memory until we've been on him the last 2 times and lost strokes putting. So we are continuing to run extremely hot here on back 9 bets. We had a Tom Kim bet last week as well, and he had one of the worst driving performances of his life. So he seemed to just keep we've got the touch of death. We got the kiss of death, you know, the Midas touch of lead, the AKA the whole shebang. But Tony Finau, let's talk about him. He's $1,600 cheaper than Jon Rahm. Very nice course history here too. This is also a course that has phenomenal course history correlation. So if you've played well here before, your likelihood of playing well here again is very good if you continue the same level of play. I don't know why it is like that. It just is. It's one of the top golf courses when it comes to course history correlations. This is what you want in your models, folks. You want course history. Tony Finau's recent performances over the last 24 rounds is fourth in the field, except for when we bet him. So, yeah, Tony was right in the mix entering round 4 last week and just sucked it up. He's finished 11th or 12th, whatever. So he's also one of those guys that just we can't seem to get it right. The putting, look at this. The last 24 rounds, he's 14th in the field, having lost putting over the last 8 rounds. He's 14th. He's one of the best putters out of all these guys outside of John Rahm in the top on my model, but yet whenever we pick him, he sucks. So we're done with Tony. On the outright side of things, we're definitely probably going to go to him at 9,500 smacks here at 22% ownership too. I think he's a guy I'm going to go to. I think you can rock and roll with Xander and Tony. They're going to save you some salary. You can really get that good old balanced build in here. This field is loaded. There's tons of talent down in the bottom, so the more you can get there, the merrier. So I think that's going to be my kind of philosophy here. I might sprinkle. I'm not even going to get close to 25, maybe 25%. I'll just match the field on Rory or Scotty. I haven't really made up my mind on those two. We'll see how ownership breaks down over the next few days / hours. Tony Finau, there you get it. Look at this. The ball striking, scintillating stuff. Third in the field when it comes to ball striking, approach plays being great off the tee. Just can't make a putt whenever we are on him. Like I've said 5 million times, I'm so sorry for bitching. It's been bad, folks. I'm running cold, and it's getting very frustrating. I'm not going to lie to you. So I'm out here doing my thing. We're doing this. We're going to bounce back this week. I can feel it, man. It's going to be a thing. So it's going to come in the form of some beautiful victory. I'm telling you now. Patrick Cantley, he's going to be $9,000. DraftKings decided he plays 2 bad tournaments. They're going to drop his price all the way down to $9K. He's going to be 22% owned, which is insane. So if you want to go off Patrick Cantley's recent form, feel free to do that. He's missed last week's cut and sucked it up the week before too. So nothing about his game is looking that good. I'm okay. If there's going to be a glaring issue with somebody and they're in the 20s when it comes to ownership, I'm out. Mark Cuban, hashtag. For that reason, I'm out. If you're going to tell me Patrick Cantley's going to be 22% owned and he's missing cuts left, right, and center right now after changing clubs and becoming a free agent, I'm out. Sign me the hell out of Patrick Cantley. I'll go to Tom Kim. Yes. Let's talk about Tom Kim and let's talk about why he's sitting at 7% ownership here. $8,500 Tom Kim, one of the best golfers in the world. I don't know what his world ranking is. Let's take a look here. I don't want to. I'm too scared to click columns in case you guys see my secret sauce, which isn't so secret and isn't so saucy at the moment, but it is what it is. Tom Kim, one of the craziest, youngest, most extravagant golfers you can find. He's been crushing it lately. The recent performance, not too shabby. You know, like last week, makes the cut, goes on the microphone, hits the most sizzling 6-iron, 5-iron, 3-iron, whatever it was. I think they had it landed at like 205 yards, rolled it onto the green, hits it the closest anyone's hit it the whole freaking day, 5.5 feet for eagle. He's sitting inside the top 20. He makes that eagle putt. He jumps all the way up the leaderboard, misses it, and then continues to just play the rest of his tournament way over par. I think he lost 6 total strokes over Saturday and Sunday. What the hell, Tom? Like, get him on the microphone and keep him on the microphone, or keep that goddamn microphone a million miles from him, because it was right after that he just, I think he made 1 birdie after that, or 2 birdies in 27 holes. Tom Kim, what on earth? Anyway, he's not going to play well here because he doesn't have good distance, is what 93% of the field is going to tell you. Well, we over here on Back 9 Bets, episode 50, titled Episode 50, believe that Tom Kim doesn't necessarily need distance in order to succeed. Now, do I want to bet him to win the tournament? No. I don't think the winner this week is going to be an average driver when it comes to distance. I think the winner is going to be above average to average in distance and doing a lot of other things well. I'm not going to bet him outright. We're going to bet him for a top 20, though. That's for freaking sure. Top 20 at plus 190 for Tom Kim. He's going to do some serious stuff. If you take a look at his off the tee stuff, 75th in the field over the last 24 rounds. It's ass. It is what it is. If you look at his like general stuff, it's 45th. Accuracy doesn't matter that much because these fairways are so goddamn small. It's going to be so hard to hit them. But he is the most accurate golfer in the field up until last week. He hit one in the water. Then he decided to drop it and then hit his approach shot in the water. So he made a triple and barely beat Cameron Young in our matchup last week. Cameron Young finished 64th. Tom Kim finished 50th. Barely snuck that one through. It was the only bet we won last week. Woo, boy. We are salty. But 7% Tom Kim at $8,500. Sign us the hell up. Everyone's going to say the distance is a big issue for him. Yes, it is. But it's not like he's not like Russell Henley, folks, or Matt Kuchar. Matt Kuchar. Yeah. He is like Russell Henley. He's like a Tom Hoagie when it comes to distance. He's not like decrepitly short. He's fine. The rest of his game, he's one of the best approach players in the field. If he never hit a billion balls into the water last week, his approach numbers would probably be a bit better. He had a really bad week. He's 20 years old. How's he not had one of those already? Yes, he had one in Sony. It was the putter. This week, it was everything. The guy just had a bit of a meltdown. What happened after the putter had a meltdown in Sony? Came back to the Amex, finished 5th or 6th. I think he finished 6th because we had a top 5 bet on him. So he finished 6th. I vividly remember that now. I'll drink every time I'm being a salty bitch. But yes, Tom Kim, approach play. He's one of the best. Look at this weighted proximity from outside of 150 to 200. He's 4th in the field, folks. One of the best in the field. When it comes to putting, he's sensational. Now, he hasn't putted too many times on POA. I don't think he's been on the West Coast swing enough. So that 73rd doesn't necessarily carry that much weighting for me for Tom because the sample size is small and we know putting is a volatile stat. So yes, Tom Kim, top 20, plus 195. Sign us up, plus 190. Sorry. Let's go. The bogey avoidance rate is great. Around the green, he's 26th. He's got a very good around the green game. He's kind of tidy. The rough stuff is a bit of a concern, but again, the metrics that we have for Tom Kim are so limited. Also, Tom Kim. Yeah, you want to hear this situation? So on the same hole, on a par 5 last week, he had like 250 odd yards into the green. Scotty Scheffler had just driven his ball into somebody else's pitch mark in the bunker. So Scotty had a plugged lie, hit that like 50 yards out. Tom Kim had a 3-wood in his hand, most likely. Hits it 310 yards. 310 yards. It must have hit a rock in the collection area there, the desert, and shot all the way over the green, 76 yards over the green. Duffs it, and then has to like hit it to the green again, makes bogey on a par 5. The guy just had like one of the worst weeks ever. So I'm totally down to go back to Tom Kim in the $8,500 range. 7% ownership seems like a number I could get behind. That is sexy. Let's go, Tom. Show the people you don't need to be the longest hitter in the world. You are a brilliant young Korean killer, and you're going to do things for us that other people aren't expecting, and it's going to be glorious. So yeah, Tom Kim. We are all about him, Tom Kim. Colin Morikawa was next up, 9th in the model. We are getting feisty, folks. Welcome to Back 9 Bets, episode 50. Colin Morikawa, 9th in the model. He's got off the tee and approach game. 3-2-1, off the tee, approach, ball striking, 3-2-1. That is exactly what you're looking for a golfer. If I don't even know if it's feasible to go Xander and Colin. Colin's played well here before. Look at this course history. It's 6th. If the wind stays down, also last week we had Pebble Beach breezes. It was what was going on. Just the wind showed up in Arizona out of nowhere. What is going to happen this week? If we get more wind, Colin's out of the picture. If there's no wind, Colin's in the picture. The guy can't play in wind, I don't think. I don't know how. Thank God he won that British Open when there wasn't any wind, because I don't think he's ever going to win another one ever again, unless the wind doesn't blow. So that's what's cooking with Colin. Around the green, oh boy. I don't know, folks. The around the green play is a massive concern for him. And at 20, if we got a problem with someone, I don't care how good of an iron player you are, you're going to be chipping at this venue. And the chipping and putting with Colin has been very poor. It's been very, very bad. And if you're going to give me a guy that's going to be this high owned and there's a glaring deficiency in his game, out. Mark Cuban. We are out for that reason. That is why. We're not actually, Colin is out. Let's actually make him red because at this ownership, can't do it. Take a gamble on a guy that's got a deficiency if he's sitting at like 10% single digits. 21% owned. No, thank you. I can't deal with this. I mean, he might be the best ball striker in the field, but we saw in the key stats already, folks. If you take a look here, approach play, it's down 6% because you can't hit these greens. You can't hit these greens. The fairways are so tiny. You're going to be hitting from the rough. It's tough to hold these greens. Yes, Colin is very accurate off the tee. Yes, he's, but you can't do it all the time. Like, you're not going to be doing it every single time. He's going to be chipping a lot more than he should. And out of the rough, he ain't like, I don't know what his deal is. So, but also, the thing is, I'm enough about Colin. We are. Willie Z. Let's talk about some Willie Z. 45-1, Will Zalatoris. Let's go. 45-1 to win this goddamn tournament. Here's the logic. He's coming off the injury. 45-1 is a number you're never going to see on Will Zalatoris. It's not ideal. There's other players I'd pick for. But he missed a lot of putts last week. And the thing is, he only got one round of ShotLink data in there while he was out at Farmers Insurance because he played the other course that in the 21st century sent someone to the moon like 80 years ago. Yeah, we can't get ShotLink on a different golf course on the same venue. But it is what it is. I'm not going to bitch about that. But Will Zalatoris has got himself one of the best ball striking repertoires in the business. Weighted approach play is 8th in the field. His off the tee game is 11th. He's got the 9th best distance. It's the two things you're looking for, yeah. When it comes to around the green, he's 65th. It is what it is. But none of these stats matter until it matters. And these things take place for Will Zalatoris at majors. He has been vocal about saying he wants majors. Now, this isn't a major, but it's basically the people's major. I don't even know if you can, like, people like to say that the Players is, the 5th major. The way this field is stacked up at this golf course, I feel like the Players will think that this is their Players major, which this golf course, they all think is one of the most brilliantly designed courses out there, which it may be. I don't know. I'm not a golf course architect, but they love it. And we've got a loaded field. He's now the one person that was missing from the top 25 that's in this week. He told the Waste Management Phoenix Open, I'm out. The doctor must have told him, take it easy, play events that you're going to play well at. He knows. Scores aren't going to get to 17, 18, 19 under par here. They're probably going to sit around the mid-teens, like towards 10. So if that's going to be the case, he's picking and choosing his places he's going to play because he probably doesn't want to play every week. He played okay. He played okay at the Farmers. We'll see. 45-1 isn't a terrible number. Now, we're banking on his upside. I don't think I'm going to be anywhere near him when it comes to DFS or anything because he's a risky play. But if things go right, why the hell not have Will Zalatoris on your betting card at 45-1? It opens up so much other space for other bets. Let's rock and roll. Willie Z. He's just fantastic. Medium golf courses. This golf course can even shift to playing hard, which is even better for Willie Z. He plays better when it gets harder. So how's it? So yeah, that's what's cooking with Willie Z. We love him this week, 45-1. It's the first time I've ever bet this guy, betting on a guy with a broken back. I guess that's why we're losing bets all the time. So that's what's cooking with Willie Z there, folks. Next up on the board. I'm not quite sure this is even the case. So we'll see how these ownership numbers figure their way out. But we got ourselves a little Max Homa love here. And Max Homa, folks, is going to be this week's winner. Going to go back-to-back. 20-1, still out there. It's kind of weird. A lot of the bets I've made, the numbers are still out there. They haven't really changed too much with so many studs in the field. It's not like you've found one or two guys getting steamed by the public and the numbers are changing. It's like there's lots of people that lots of people are betting on. So the numbers are kind of staying the way they were when they were first released. So Max Homa's 20-1 number is still out there. Go grab it. He's the defending champ with Joaquim Neiman sitting in Saudi Arabia. The course history here, 3rd in the field. He's finished T10, win, T5, last 3 years. Howdy doodah. The performance last week was a little shoddy. I'm not entirely sure why the off the tee numbers are that bad. It must have hit 1 or 2 into the water or the hazards or who knows what last week. That's the only way you can really lose that many strokes, because I feel like he's been driving the ball incredibly well. He finished inside the top 5 at the Century Tournament Champions. He won the Farmers. So let's freaking go, Max. Let's see what you can do this week. Go win this thing. Be back-to-back champ for us, bro. Everything about his game. Like for Max Homa to be 13th in approach in the last 24 rounds is fantastic. Let's go there. The around the green play, which has always typically been a bit of a concern for him, is moving in the right direction. He's 25th in the 26th in the field over the last 24 rounds around the green, and the putting has just been phenomenal. Phenomenal. And if there's one guy that I can trust on POA greens, it's him. These California boys, they know it. They grew up on it. Maverick McNeely, putting it off the green there in Phoenix and then withdrawing because, yeah, you put it off the green and then WD the next hole. Like, what is that even about? You know, like, what are we doing here? Like, did that hurt your emotions that your shoulder blew out? Or again, I don't know what Maverick McNeely's deal is, but after putting it off the green into the water and then withdrawing, that's just a pussy move, if you ask me. I'm so sorry. Get it together, Mav. Get it together, bro. Okay, so Max Homa's putting. Medium golf course scoring for Max Homa. 4th in the field. 7th in the field. Turning numbers upside down. The whiskey's kicking in. Approach play, 16th in general. Weighted proximity is top 30, whatever. When it comes to putting on Bermuda, that is not Bermuda. That is POA, folks. That is POA. POA. When it comes to putting on POA, Max Homa, Noah, how to putt on POA. He's a boss. He's awesome. He does his thing. And he dominates par 5s, which is exactly what you're looking for. There's 3 of them here. One of them is basically a par 4 that's down the hill. One of the dumbest holes in golf, if you ask me. But the rest of the 17 holes are fantastic. So that's what's cooking there with Max Homa. He's going to be our winner. The course history thing, that's all we're looking for here. This is the main reason. 3rd in the field. He's got the best course history of the guys that, like, he's a better golfer than the other 2, I would say. Victor has been kind of ass lately, but not nearly as bad as Max. Not nearly as bad as Max. Max is 1. Victor's just, I don't know, he's 14th. He's just hovering around there. So we'll see what gets up to him. But the course history, we love it with Max Homa. 20-1, sign us the hell up. Also, if he's going to be under 20% ownership here at $9,700, sign me up to him. Let's go. I think he's got as good a shot at winning this thing as these 28% of guys at the top. Yeah. The course history, the recent form, all fantastic. He's not playing with John Rahm this week. Let's see how it goes. Cameron Young is a full-fledged fade for me, folks. You can't convince me that this course history is just going to, especially if he's going to be sitting at 4% less than Max Homa. Like, if you're going to tell me Cameron Young's just going to automatically fix his putting, which has been, look at this. He's been on a warpath of atrocious atrocities, whatever you want to call it. The red wedding has shown up to his short game, folks. Short game, 113th in the field. There's 130 players in the field. We go into a venue that relies heavily on short game. Yes, he's one of the best drivers of the ball. Yes, he's a fantastic long iron player. Yes, he's got the 4th best course history, which has also been dulled down a little bit because he only played here once. It was his breakout year when he was actually making putts. Now we've got freaking, look at this. Inside of 5 feet, he's 125th in the field. Woo, boy. If you're missing a lot of greens, you're going to leave yourself a lot of 5-footers for par. And he's 125th in a field of 130 people. What is 15% of people doing betting Cameron Young at a course like this? You know, like the ball striking, I get it. He's got all the distance in the world, but holy cow. I can't deal with the putting. Now, the funny thing is, he's 5th in the field in putting from 5 to 15 feet. That is quite something, isn't it? That's what you call the yips. And it's not as severe and as drastically bad as you'd imagine, but he's got the yips, folks. You cannot putt that well from 5 to 15 feet and then get closer to the hole and putt worse unless you've got some mental issue in your pip. And I believe Cameron Young has got a mental block when it comes to putting inside of 5 feet. And I believe in this industry, The term is called the yips. He makes a lot of birdies when he hits it to 15 feet. Put him inside 5, it gets very scary. And the bogey avoidance rate there is no good. So, for that reason, we are out. Hashtag Mark Cuban. Matty Fitzpatrick, another interesting character. I think I might go to this guy. You know, if you think about the 3 things that matter most, the weighted proximity numbers for him, atrocious. His approach game is ass. He's not very good when it comes to approach play. If you look at his approach numbers, 79th in the last 24 rounds. However, around the greens, he's one of the best in the field too. 9th, top 10. No, it's better than Sungjae. 6th in the field around the greens. When it comes to chipping out of the rough, he's the 7th best in proximity numbers. Putting, everything about his putting. 17th, 7th, 10th, 31st, 34th. The putting is good for Matt Fitzpatrick. The bogey avoidance rate is 5th. That's what we're looking for here. Bogey avoidance, good around the green play, and good driving ability. He's a little hurt right now, so I don't know how his distance is actually coming along, but he's picked up distance. We know that. That's how he won the freaking US Open. This is a kind of golf course that can be US Open-y, especially if the course plays difficult. I don't know what happened last year. 17 under par was kind of wild, and a whole bunch of guys got to that. So hopefully the superintendents and the course marshals and the people that set up the course marshal, the people that set up the course have kind of figured out a little way to keep it more difficult so we can play the guys that we think are going to do well on the historical venue that this beautiful golf course, the Riviera Country Club, is. That's what's cooking with Matt Fitzpatrick. I'm in on him. I love his price tag. Yeah, the top 20 rate for him has been fantastic. He bid us at Pebble. That is what it is. The course history is great, and he's cheap. He's cheap. You can fit him in with those other guys. So we'll see what cooks. So I'm out on Cameron Young, in on Matty Fitzpatrick, Max Homa as well. Sign us the hell up for those guys. Sungjae is an interesting cat. Course history is terrible. I wonder why. I don't know exactly what the deal is. Maybe it's got to do with his power putting. Maybe that's what the problem is. Everything out. Oh, and he's chipping out of the rough. He's actually got a really good short game, but the rough stuff for him seems like an issue, and the putting. So that's 2 very important elements of his short game that's kind of, not the best. It's not what you're looking for if you're looking for a guy like this. But the medium golf courses for him, he's actually inside the top 10 when it comes to lower scoring events, because his short game's actually really good. But maybe it's the rough, maybe it's the power putting. Sungjae just struggles here. The 63rd course history, no good. No good. Then you get yourself a little Shane Lowry action, which is a bit of a problem for most people. Now, the thing about Shane Lowry, he's going to be 6% owned, and Shane Lowry's medium golf course scoring is 4th in the field. When it gets difficult, Shane Lowry performs fantastically. He's typically a very good bunker player. I mean, he is a very good bunker player, and around the green play is fantastic. Usually, this recent around the green stuff has got to do with his absolute demise recently. Like, the guy's been playing horrifically. If you take a look at his, let me pull him up here quickly. Like, it is very, very bad. I'm going to pull up Data Golf here real quick. Look at this. So going along just fine. Next thing you know, Shane Lowry just decides to join the Red Wedding. All 4 of his last 2 starts, apart from off the tee, he's just gained 0 strokes. He's lost 1 million strokes. The Waste Management Phoenix Open, his best stat category was off the tee, losing half a stroke. So he lost a total of 1 strokes last week doing that. What are you doing, bro? Like, the distance was a problem last week. Like, is he injured? Is that what's going on here? Like, how do you go from all this green, wonderful finishing inside like the top 30, pretty much 75% of your starts, including a win, and then play this bad? Like, just what is going on with Shane Lowry? Now, it might be worth investigating. Is he injured? Go check out Golf Injury Report. I'm not sure if they've got anything on him on Twitter, but he's going to be 6 to 5% owned at $7,400. Are we going to react to 2 events worth of data? Maybe. Are we going to not react 2 weeks worth of data and just put Shane Lowry in 10% of our lineups? Maybe. If you know what I'm saying. Like Shane Lowry can play good golf on a course like this. The course history for Shane Lowry doesn't exist. So he's never played here before. That's not good. But it is okay. Like the recent, just everything about his game is just really, really bad. But if you look at his baseline stuff, it's pretty darn good, especially the iron play, man. Like that's something you can lean on. I know it's not that important here, but he's typically pretty good with the irons. We'll see. I'm going to play a little bit of Shane. I feel like if something was up and it's figured out now, he can easily get back inside the top 20 and save you a bunch of salary, save you a bunch of ownership. Rock and roll with Shane just for like 10% of your lineups. I don't know. Take a gamble. If you want to take less of a gamble and presumably have a little better of an opportunity for success with less of an issue that you're looking at from a recent form perspective, Tommy Fleetwood, folks, is your guy. Tommy Fleetwood is $7,300. He's going to be 8% owned, which is kind of steep. I guess he's not near. It's man. I've barely been paying attention to the salaries and the ownership today, so I'm kind of like doing this with you guys too, just looking at what's going on here. And 8%, $7,300 Tommy Fleetwood is someone that is the 8% is kind of scary, and that makes a lot of sense. But Tommy Fleetwood, folks, is going to be your winner this week. If it's not Will Zalatoris, if it's not Max Homa, it's going to be Tommy Fleetwood. And that's at 125 to 1. You can grab that number, I believe. It is out there at BetMGM or Caesars. I'm not entirely sure, but there's hundreds out there everywhere. So go grab yourself a Tommy Fleetwood 125 to 1 ticket. The fun thing about Tommy Fleetwood that the model doesn't pick up is he recently won in November back in my home country of South Africa. He won the Nedbank Challenge, finished first, obviously. You don't win without finishing first. He won that. In 2019, he won the Nedbank Challenge. Now, the funny thing about the Nedbank Challenge, not only is it South Africa, but it's on Kuchar grass. Guess what grass they're playing on this week? It's Kuchar grass, folks. And Tommy Fleetwood has got all the things you're looking for from a golfer at a venue like this. His recent approach play, 11th. Ball striking, 16th recently. Around the green, recently it's 10th. Usually it's the very best in the field. Tommy Fleetwood is the best around the green player in this field. His course history here is 27th. It's not the best you could ask for, but he's playing good golf now and everything makes sense. The Kuchar grass, he's won a golf tournament on that grass twice in the last 4 or 5 years. He's never won in the States, which is also fun. But what could be less like the United States than playing on Kuchar grass on American soil? The power putting for him is not nearly as good as his usual putting, which is a bit of a concern. But we know putting on these greens, anything can happen. I'm okay taking a gamble on the putting. We know everything else about his game. Approach play, the weighted proximity stuff, we know that the approach play is not that important here. The around the green play is important. You're going to be hitting a lot more chips than usual. 8% more greens are missed here this week than tour average. Out of the sand, he's the 4th best. The rough thing, bit of a problem there, but he's still very, very good from around the greens. Tommy Fleetwood, 125 to 1. Sign us the hell up. 11th on medium golf course scoring. Let's rock and roll with Tommy. That's it. Tommy Gunn, let's freaking go. Can't go wrong with Tommy this week. I had him top 40 last week. He kind of bit us. This week, we're going top 40 again, plus 130. If you follow me on rotoballer.com's website, we got ourselves Tommy Fleetwood as well as a farewell fiver. So that's what's going on there in Breaking 100. Tommy Fleetwood is going to be in our lineups. I love him this week. I'm all about it. I think he's a great fit for this course. I love him on the Kuchar grass. Let's go, Tommy. Let's see what you can do, dude. Let's see what you can do. Sam Burns was a definite consideration this week for an outright bet. I don't mind him this week from an upside play. The putting is it can be lights out. The driver kind of heated up a little bit last week. As the week went on, he kind of kept himself in the tournament by getting 2.5 strokes around the green in round 1. survived and made the cut barely, I think, in round 2, and then charged up the leaderboard. We had him in our showdown lineups there on the DFS side for showdown in our Discord, and he was the top scorer. So, yep, we had him, and that was awesome. And then we profited off Sam Burns quite nicely there. So we got some putting there that we like. The bogey avoidance, not necessarily the best thing in the world, but we know that Sam, when his putter is cooking, anything is possible. Victor Hovland's going to be another guy that's very intriguing here, folks. Very intriguing. Got the best course history at this venue. But he's not playing that good of golf. If you look at the strokes gain total here, recently around him, and he's all the way down here at 19th in the model. Like the model's trying to imitate what we're going to see from Victor or at this venue, and he's not. Him and Adam sitting here 1 and 2 in course history. I've got course history ramped up all the way. So they would easily be sitting in the 20s here if it wasn't for course history, because nothing about their game is screaming like it's going to be great. Like the putting and the chipping, I know, like, what are we going to do here? But holy cow, if chipping can go wrong so quick, putting especially can go wrong so quickly. If he's relied on his putting to be great at this venue, a 22% owned guy that you're going to rely on a putter, that's not typically the best putter in the world, unless you look at, Jesus Christ. Well, I don't even know what I'm talking about. He's got the 4th best power ranking in the field. That's probably why he plays so well. Yeah, let's go. So, 22% Victor. We'll see. There's a lot. He can absolutely just hemorrhage strokes around the green. The around the green play for Vic it's rough, but outside the rough, it's not rough in the rough. It's rough out of the sand. So that's his biggest issue, it seems like, is the putting, is the around the green play out of the sand, which is a little bit of that here, but not nearly as much. Out of the rough is a lot more of a normal occurrence, I believe. So the putting, very good. So I don't know. I'm not going to play him at 22% owned. I'm not a big course history guy. And if you're not popping in the model for me with course history involved, I'm out. And especially if you're going to be that high owned, I'm out. So yeah, Adam Scott, same situation. He's got great course history. 16% owned in the 8K range. Let's take a quick look here. We'll do this quickly. Where's Victor? Victor. What was he? 8,900? Here he is, yeah. So you got Patrick Cantley and Victor Hovland at 22%. Then you got Cameron Young. So like this is the absolute fade range for me. Holy cow. Sign me up for Tom Kim. Sign me up for Jason Day. Patrick. Let's go in that lower 8K range. Leave those guys at the top there. All alone. Can't do that. Can't do that ownership. Can't do that with what they're doing coming into the week. Some other guys before we get out of here. Russell Henley. He is going to be a top 40 bet for us, folks. Top 40 plus 135. Russell Henley. He's finished inside the top 40 the last 3 times he's played here. As you can see, he's got course history that ranks out as the 23rd best in the field. He is also not your typical, stereotypical prototype golfer at a venue like this. So I'll be playing these folks here in this range, except for Tom Hoagie. I don't know why Tom Hoagie just cannot make cuts even as the best approach player in the field. I don't understand why. But Russell Henley, one of the worst putters in the field. He's been putting atrociously lately. Doesn't terribly struggle, though, on POA. Does a bit better on POA, which I think everyone struggles on POA, which maybe is why Russell does a bit better. I don't know. Maybe it's a relative thing. He chips out of the rough very nicely. Got the 19th best around the green ranking and the 19th best out of the rough proximity numbers. The approach play is scintillating from Russell, and the driver is typically in play. He's not the shortest guy in the world. He's not the longest guy in the world. He's right in the middle. And that's okay. So I love his bogey avoidance rate, which is it's getting worse. Usually it's pretty good. So he's 48th in the field, which isn't necessarily the best thing you could ask for, but it's typically pretty tidy around the greens. Let's see what he can get up to. Plus 135 for a top 40. Whatever. Let's go. He's 22nd in the model. Kicked it out. Another guy that I think is playing some good golf lately, folks. Matt Kuchar. He played hole number 9 at Waste Management Phoenix Open, 5 over par. He just could not make a par on that hole. Lost 5 strokes on one hole over the course of the event. I think he still finished inside the top 40. Matt Kuchar was a little 1% gem that we had going into the week. He's going to be 2% this week, and we're going back to him. He's got great course history on the West Coast, it seems. Plays a lot of courses while out there, and it makes a lot of sense. The reliability around the greens and on short game, over the last 24 rounds, he's 17th in the field in short game strokes gained. 21st in putting, 32nd in around the green play. He's the second best around the green outside of Tommy Fleetwood. And we know that this course is very important to play well around the greens. And when it looks like he's out of the rough play is phenomenal. So Matt Kuchar, look at this. The bogey avoidance rate for Matt Kuchar is 9th. Yes, let's go. Sign me up for Matt Kuchar. Actually, we'll just do Russell Henley as a little DFS player in top 40 there. Sorry, we're going to leave Russell alone probably in DFS. We're going to play Matt Kuchar here as well. Plus 165 for Matt Kuchar for a top 40. We love what he's been getting up to lately. Now, if you look at his recent top 40 rate, it's 47%. And Matt Kuchar's recent play has actually started getting better. 43rd in this field, recent play, which is not necessarily as indicative as it could be because he sucked it up at Pebble, which we know was an absolute blizzard of a blowout, of a hurricane, of a whatever you want to call it. So around the green play for Matt Kuchar, sign us the hell up. Billy Horschel is our next guy. Tom Hoagie, best approach player in the field. Can't do anything off the tee. Can't do anything around the greens. That's not going to cut it you. You can't be so crap around the greens and succeed at this venue because you're going to be chipping 40% of your shots, basically. Instead of putting for birdie, you're going to be chipping for birdie 40% of the time. 58% greening regulation rate at this venue, folks. So no good for Tom Hoagie. I think Pebble Beach was a much better fit for him. He landed up missing the cut there, I think, even. So he's just been sucking it up. The around the green play, no good recently. Just terrible stuff. Billy Horschel, on the other hand, we don't really know what his game's up to. The driver was a bit of a concern at Tournament of Champions. Not the best thing in the world, having that kind of a problem coming into the week. But when you look at what he does well, putts well on POA, 25th in the field. He does great stuff out of the sand. Around the green, he's 10th in the field in strokes gained. His approach plays okay. It's not the best, but he's pretty accurate. So maybe he can hit a bit more fairways than normal and rely on that. But he plays medium golf courses, the 15th best in the field. So that's what you love to see from Billy Horschel. I love what's going on there. Unfortunately, Taylor Montgomery is going to be a little more high-owned than we expect this week. Well, not that we expect, but that we would want. $6,700 at 11% ownership is something that Taylor Montgomery really provides you with. And if you look at some things that he does well, it's off the tee. He's got insane distance, 25th in the field in distance. If you take this specialized off the tee is strokes gained off the tee on par 70 and 71s that are over 7,300 yards or 7,200 yards. So he is the sixth best driver of a golf ball when it comes to those kind of courses. And it's got to do with the distance that he has off the tee. He's also the best putter in the field, and he's also fantastic at avoiding bogeys and making birdies. Last week, he had an absolute disaster of a round early in the week. I think on Thursday, blew it out. It is what it is. Scooting down the board here, I think that's pretty much everyone I want to really address. We'll be doing our BetSpurt show tomorrow. I'll do it with Ron. And Phoebe's telling me to get off the microphone. Things are just falling apart around me here right now. But this is what's cooking on Back Nine Bets, folks. Episode 50. Thanks for being a big supporter of the show. Thanks for everything that you've done for us so far. Make sure that if you are not a premium subscriber or if you don't have yourself access to premium packages at Rotoballer, use code 50. Get yourself 25% off, basically. It's $50 off. Turns out to be $12.50 for the entire month worth of the year's subscription. And then make sure that you use the code that's pinned to my Twitter profile or that's in the description of the YouTube video below. Those are the two most important things. Code 50, use the correct code so that the correct link to the site so that you can use the code because it only works on those links. That's how it's working. It ends on Thursday. Make sure that you get that done if you want to do that ASAP. Thanks for being awesome fans. Thanks for being awesome friends and family. We love you guys so much over here on Back Nine Bets. Episode 50 in the books. Let's have a great week, Tommy. Let's have a great week, Max. Let's have a great week, Willie Z. Let's go, folks. Till then, next week, Linda Q out.